Okay, so what I like to do so that I infuse the oil with really delicious spices and it gets just very, very flavorful is to add cumin, oregano, Mexican oregano if you can, ground coriander, and normally cayenne, but I happen to know that the jalapenos I chose are very spicy right now. The season, whatever the reason, they're spicy, so we don't need added spice from that. I am going to add this Spanish paprika. It's very smoky. Once the oil heats up a little, I'm going to add an onion. Again, right now it's the summer, so everything is bigger, and the onions are jumbo size right now. So I'm just using half an onion. So I'm sauteing the onions in the infused oil. It smells really good. I like to add the garlic second because garlic cooks really quickly and onions take a bit longer. This is purple garlic that's fresh. As you can see, these cloves are just ginormous. But they're really gonna taste good, especially once we add the grass-fed beef. I'm gonna use the jalapenos that I chopped up, and then I'm gonna use half of a chipotle or pasilla pepper. It's kind of a sweetness and a crunchiness to it that adds a nice texture, and you're not going to get any heat from that one. I'm going to add this. The garlic's cooking, the onions are almost cooked down. It's kind of a nice, wonderful melange of really good flavors, and you can really smell the smokiness from the paprika and the cumin. And I'm sure you know this, but cumin is really, really good for you. So I try to put it in everything because I love it and it's good for you. So now we're ready to add the beef. This is a great brand. There's also in Colorado and New York where I live, they have local farms that raise beef humanely on organic pastures and are grass-fed. If you are vegetarian or vegan, this recipe can easily be modified. If you leave out the grass-fed beef, you will not be missing the flavor because the sauté is very flavorful and the legumes themselves are delicious and really, really adopt spice as well. So you're already going to have something flavorful, and you really don't need any dairy in this either, which, as we know, is an allergen for most people and not part of an ageless diet. I'm using a cast iron skillet, which I try to use in most things that I cook. Mine I inherited from my mom, who every time I go down to South Carolina gives me one to take with me. And because it's South Carolina, no one questions me when I go through security. It's great, especially if you're a vegetarian, because a lot of vegetarians are iron deficient. And because I do not want my meat overcooked, I want it cooked through, but I do not want it overcooked, I'm going to add the beans now. Now, if you're a purist and you want to soak your beans overnight and then cook them and then use them, that's awesome. I didn't tonight because I wanted a quick 15-minute meal. Now I'm going to add the tomatoes. They're organic. You really only want to eat organic tomatoes because they do absorb a lot of pesticides and from the soil and from what they spray. So please, please do organic. I've added the tomatoes. I really don't want to stir this too much because the beans will start to break apart, and I'd like to retain the integrity of the beans and the tomatoes. So I'm going to add the cilantro now. I got the cilantro from my garden. The recipe calls for about half a bunch, but I'm going to use a little bit less because I don't have it. Again, this is a very forgiving recipe. Modify it to your taste. So as you can see, everything's almost 100% cooked. And we've still got those tomatoes in, and they're still kind of going to be a little fresh tasting and not fully cooked down. I like to use a little splash of unfiltered apple cider vinegar to add a little brightness to it. Just makes all the flavors pop. I also add a squeeze of lime juice for more brightness, complexity. It just makes the flavors sing, and you're going to be happy you did it. So I just dressed some greens. I like to use a little lemon juice, a little olive oil, and a little salt. Right, this is cooked organic brown rice. I like the Lundberg brand. I'm going to put a little rice in here. I'm going to put my dressed greens on top of this. I'm going to add the guacamole I made. I have the recipe on the site. Nice and chunky. I'm going to add a little bit more pasilla pepper for a little sweetness. And I'm going to use some alfalfa sprouts because I'm a big fan of them. They're really good for you and they taste really fresh. And then another little squeeze of lime juice, just why not? What you can do is make this your own. Add salsa if you want salsa, pickled jalapeno, sliced black olives are great on this. Plate it up, it's ready, and I'm hungry. It really smells good and I think you're going to love it.